What's going on, everyone? So one of the things that I talked about probably a couple months ago now was Bronny James and the potential of, if he can take some real strides, I could see him being a rotation piece, right? When I was going through all the off seasons and breaking down, the various players and whatnot, and Bronny James was one of the guys that, I said, he is, at least on paper, the ideal kind of player that you need in the rotation off the bench, right? Young, athletic, does the dirty work, makes the hustle plays, right? 3-and-D style guard. Now, the reason I do it in quotes, the finger quotes, is because he definitely needs to work on his three-point shooting, right? You saw the progress throughout the course of the season, and you saw him, just kind of get more and more comfortable, more and more confident, and really start to, show some stride. He was clearly better than the G League. G League isn't, though, the NBA. Seen a lot of guys that are, torch it in the G League, but then they go to the actual NBA and, they're pedestrian or kind of just, there, right? Where Bronny, he's so incredibly young. And I know the people, Bronny, it's so silly to me, right? Especially people that are Laker fans, right? I can understand maybe you don't like the idea of Bronny on the team. You get the people that just don't like LeBron and whatnot, but at the end of the day, they're still on the team. So, why would you want Bronny to fail? Because the better Bronny is, the better the Lakers are. Because if Bronny can be that legit two-way athletic guard, if he can be a more athletic Gabe Vincent, knock down the three ball with some consistency. I'm not saying he has to be 43% from three or anything like that. But if he could be 37% from three and be that relentless defensive pest, right? Why wouldn't we want that, right? Instead of us having to go and find that on the market, if you already have that and at a cheap value, why wouldn't you want to do that? The better Bronny is, the better it is for the team. Now, him being a regular rotation piece during the regular season doesn't necessarily mean that he'll be that come playoff time. And reports have came out that, several executives, of course, the anonymous executives, but several executives believe that Bronny James will be part of the rotation next season, right? That he's looked at as a guy that the Lakers could lean into to kind of fill a role and fill a void, which makes sense on several fronts. One, obviously, the just natural progression from year one to year two. Two, Lakers are probably going to have to trade and consolidate a couple players in order to go and get that center or that 3-and-D wing, or maybe even both, right? So you're going to need cheap, young talent that's going to be able to come in, play a role, particularly over an 82-game season. You're going to need somebody, especially if you end up trading a Gabe Vincent or something like that, where you can get somebody that can come in, slot in, play that role, slot alongside Luka at times, slot in, alongside him and LeBron, right? But just, again, to me, it's really about him being that defensive, versatile player, right? Can he be a guy that does the dirty work on a regular basis? You already saw that capability, right? Say what you want about Bronny. He already showed the defensive prowess that you want for the Lakers. It's just, again, him kind of continuing to grow in that area. He has all the tools to be a really good defensive player, be that point of attack. You look at a team like OKC, they're littered with 6'3" guards that just can be that point of attack and just send wave after wave after wave after wave. Right? You see in this new NBA, look at the two teams in the NBA Finals right now. There are two teams that run 3 and 4 guard lineups that have a bunch of just athletic perimeter guys that all have speed, right? Because we're in this pace and space NBA. We're in an NBA now where you're pushing the pace. You're running jacket up threes, play defense, be switchable, right? And just be relentless. And Bronny James is a guy that kind of checks off all those boxes. Bronny James is a guy that can, again, he has some growth that needs to happen, but he was the 55th pick in the draft, right? Lakers have the 55th pick in this year's draft. And I guarantee you, I guarantee, and I don't like to guarantee things because, when you're talking about sports, I guarantee you the 55th pick in this year's draft that the Lakers end up drafting won't have anywhere near the criticism or spotlight that Bronny James had as the 55th pick. If we drafted anybody else but Bronny James, no one would have said anything about him this year. All we would have talked about was, man, did you see how good our 55th pick was? Man, he's going to be, everyone would have been hyping him up like he was the second coming because, he was good. Right? He showed signs. He showed athleticism, his ability to shoot, his ability to defend, be a point of attack, be able to be a off-ball movement slasher cutter, be able to finish at the rim, be able to finish through contact, right? Like be able to operate and create a little bit for himself, create a little bit for others, operate knockdown in the mid-range. I mean, Jalen Ojefino had like 3 years and didn't do anything. Bronny gave us more in just like garbage time than we saw with Jalen Ojefino the entire time he was with the Lakers, right? But no one wants to talk about that because he's Bron's kid, right? Like, I don't care who he is. I just care, can he hoop? Can he play, right? Is he a guy that can come in and play a role that the Lakers need? Many people believe that he will be. I am one of those people that think he will. I'm not saying he's going to be a starter alongside Luka. Maybe one day, if Bronny James at the 55th pick can even just become a rotation player. I mean, just like 10, 15 minutes a night. That's a steal. Most 55th picks are out of the league in 2 years. If you can find a guy with the 55th pick that can actually be a rotation piece, that can actually come in and play a role and fill a void that the Lakers have, that's massive, right? Like, why wouldn't I want that? I don't care who he is. I don't care whose son he is. I don't care what. I care, can he hoop? Can he come and help the Lakers win some games? Again, we have a lot that we need to see from him, but you saw the signs, you saw the progress, and that is exciting. That to me is like, hey, there's something here, but can we continue to build and grow on that to where now he can kind of step in and play a role? Again, I'm not saying he's going to be a playoff rotation piece. I would love it if he is. You know why? Because that means he was good enough to earn that, right? But like, again, what do we need? We need athleticism out on the perimeter. We need point of attack defense and 3-and-D spacers alongside Luka and LeBron. Who is that? Bronny James, literally, right? Like Bronny James gives you that. Not everyone has to be a superstar. I talk about this all the time. Not everyone has to be, a bona fide starter, right? You still need the 6th, 7th, and 8th guy. Right? You still need guys that can come in and contribute. You still need guys that can step up and have, that random night every night, but give you some form of consistency somewhere on the basketball court. If Bronny James can just give us that, that's a steal. That's a home run for the Lakers. Right? If he can be our 7th, 8th guy off the bench and be, the primary backup or, play the primary, the backup 2 or something like that, that's perfect. Again, not everyone has to be a superstar. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Past question you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Feel what your thoughts? Agree with me? Disagree with me? Kind of mix in the middle. Love to hear it either way. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.